Hare Krishna, Jai Jagannath. The Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 22nd shloka, very famous shloka. Ananyas chintayanto maam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityaviyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. But those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and reserve what they have. So, the Lord is a friend of all living entities. The Lord and His representatives, the Lord is a friend of all living entities, and one who can bring a message from the friend and gives to the person, the other friend, he is also friendly. The spiritual master, the teacher, he is a friend because he is representing a supreme friend. So there are different levels of friends. Mitra, Srihat. So Mitra is also friend. The real friend means very close friend means Srihadam Sarvabhutanam. Srihat means Rit is heart. Srihadam means one who is very close to the heart. Even among friends, there are social friends. We just say, hi, how are you doing? Good morning, good night. Or our classmates. In our social life, we meet so many friends. But these friends are good. They may be supportive to us financially. Some may be helping us in our education. Some may be supportive to our people when they are in diseased condition. So there are many friends. But the real friend is one who is there in all circumstances. During this pandemic crisis, you cannot go closer to your kith and kin, even though they are suffering. We recently saw that many politicians and influential leaders, when they passed away or their relatives passed away, they will not allow more than 10 people to go nearby them. Even during their funeral, their final ceremonies, they were not allowing. So there are some reasons. So there are social reasons, medical reasons, they are not allowed. But this has brought in a kind of phobia, a fear among everyone. So even in a general sense, when somebody is well, a year back also, not many years ago, just a year back, when somebody was not well, it was a courtesy. Oh, you are not well, how are you? People who are elders are not well, they'll go and talk to them. Oh, you are not well, you have to take care of your health. Now, suppose somebody is having fever, they are seen as the most sinful people. So, they'll put a seal on your hand, they'll put a seal on your house. You are like a banned. Anybody can come, you are like cursed person. Now, in some ancient Indian practices, somebody who was having leprosy, they were considered to be sinful. For every disease, there is a cause. We cannot ascertain exactly what is the cause. But there is a cause for every disease. We have interacted by water or air, or by we would have taken some alcohol or meat or There is for always, there is a reason. But when there are diseases, when it comes, that time leprosy is coming, so he would have been some sinful person, he has done some harm for others. So it appears to be they are blind people, blind belief people. So you see, in our modern terms, even for leprosy we don't mind. Like Mother Teresa, she was practically handling the patients, taking care of them. Like that, there are so many doctors who take care. So like this, a year back, if you say somebody that they have, somebody who is having diseases, means some orthodox people, they think that they are sinful people, so you should not touch. So any educated modern children, like we were all, when we were going to school also, if some grandmother say, hey, don't touch that, those people who are very dirty, they should not be touched, you will get some infection, they are not good. So we will feel my grandmother is too much orthodox. But now there are so many varieties of orthodox which have come from United Nations WHO standard to national standard to our state standard to our district standard, and with different opinions. So like this it keeps on changing. And what is the psychological impact now it has come? Suppose somebody is diseased, let me not touch them. So previously people will say namaste. At times they will say, oh, they don't shake hand, that means they are orthodox people. They are saying namaste. That is, they are very traditional orthodox people. They are not. That is not the way we have to be. We have to be very liberal. So there is a philosophy of liberal. You have to be liberal to everybody. You should allow. If suppose somebody wants to eat meat, you should allow. Like our national leaders who are fighting for freedom. So they were also talking on secularism and liberalism. So what is liberty means? Suppose somebody wants to kill a cow and that is their religion, should allow it to do. What is wrong? I think even recently, a year back or 2 years back, when there was cow killing was banned in India, even regular Hindus who are supposed to be worshipping the cow, they were thinking, what is wrong? It's after all a beef. It's after all beef, what is there? So if suppose you are less intelligent, you are having a less intelligent child who is not having little mind growth. So the father and mother, will they allow the intelligent children to kill them? So Lord is Suhridam Sarvabhutanam, is a friend of all living entity, and he is taking care of them personally. Lord Krishna is glorified as Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha Jagatityaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. He is Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. He is very dear to the cows. Is as much as he embraces his friends, as much as he embraces the gopis, he embraces the cow also. But that is been thinking that you should be liberal. We are all modern people. It's all right to kill cow. What is there? So cow has very high level consciousness. Why cow? In some countries, if you have to kill a cow, the cow, if it is known that it is getting killed, it develops a kind of poisonous effect in its blood because of fear. And they say that is not a good beef. So they cut some part of the body. I don't know how it happens. I have heard from some people that they cut some part of the body and blood stops, droplet starts falling, and slowly when the blood comes down, then they kill that cow. I heard sometimes the calves also, they are kept standing, and when it starts shivering, they cannot, how long they can stand. They are kept in a tight position, standing like this, and when the whole blood comes down, they kill that. I think that's called some veal flesh or something, veal beef or something. And that's supposed to be very soft, and they do this kind of processing, and then in a hi-fi factories, slaughterhouses are made, because we are very advanced in technology. We don't have to see blood. Only in the slaughterhouses it's already cut, and they are packed in nice aluminium, silver foil packets, and with printed materials. They are sent to super bazaars, and we can go in our automobile vehicles, go inside the shop, and then we can select, I want this beef or chicken or this, that, and we can eat. And because we are civilized people, we have to be liberal. So there is liberal here. Everything comes back to us. The same mercilessness what we are showing on animals, because they are all living entities, are part and parcel of Krishna. When they are all part and parcel of God, any harm you do to anybody, it will get back to us. Jivo jivasya jivanam. The law of nature is one life is meant for another life. So, in the law of nature, in the forest, in the kingdom of animals, it is allowed. You can see when a man, two-legged animal is, in a jungle, uncivilized man, he can kill a four-legged animal. A four-legged animal can kill one more legged animal. So like that they can keep on, based on their capacity, one animal will kill another animal, powerful animal. So there is a struggle for existence, and there is a survival of the fittest. So this will be happening. We have studied in our zoology books. So in anthropology they show how this all happens, one after one, survival of the fittest. But in human kingdom, we are supposed to be civilized. And we are supposed to be civilized means that we have to have liberalism, means you have to be really liberal to animals. You have to be really friend. Who is the best friend? The Lord is the best friend of all living entities. He is personally supplying everything from the nature. From the nature, when they are supplying, they can be in the forest, they get everything. According to law of nature, a lion, if it eats one animal, then for 1 week it may not touch another animal. Like for one person to eat, how much he can eat? Suppose he is eating a meat, how many kgs he will eat? Maybe 200 grams or 500 grams. For that sake, every day, in India itself some 1.5 lakhs of cows are killed. I may be saying very less number, I don't know the exact number. Some people say in millions. So much of beef is exported, and every day open slaughterhouses are there, and we are considered to be very liberal. What are we liberal in? And we use all technology because we are human beings, we are very brainy. But no, we are all children of God, and according to God's arrangement, nature arrangement, if killing is happening, that is allowed. Sometimes it is told that there are so many animals, if you don't kill, what will happen to it? As though we are so much worried about the animals' population increasing, and without me eating, how much you can eat? 1 kg, 10 kgs, if you are going on eating, how much you can eat? And because of my eating, the whole nature is being balanced, eco-balance is happening. These are few improper arguments without logic. Yes, if you are a non-vegetarian and your body is able to digest and you are doing it, you are an uncivilized person, you are staying in a forest, you have nothing to eat, you will eat one animal and be quiet. The problem is not about one animal you are killing and being quiet. You are coming, making mechanized slaughterhouses. Every day you are sending thousands of animals inside the slaughterhouse. Then all technology you are using. After that we give big lectures in universities, in TV shows, that how we are so liberal. We are loving this earth, Mother Earth. Mother Earth has produced so many living entities. We say Mother Earth is only meant for this human being. No, Mother Earth is meant for every living entity in this earth. So we are ready to exploit anybody and anything. The law of nature is that for anything you do, you will get reaction. So this is very evident, and this is law of nature going on. But there is one more law of spiritual laws going on, where the Lord, although He is Sarudam Sarvabhutanam, He is a friend of all living entity, He is still little, although He says I am impartial to anybody. The Lord doesn't mind somebody is a good or bad. Just like a moonshine falls equally on an animal also, on a criminal also, on a good person also, bad person also, anywhere it will go and fall. It doesn't think, oh, this person is having a poor house, or this person is having a rich house. I will give moonshine in a rich man's house. I will not give in a poor man's house. Or that rich man is a politician, is a very bad man. I will give only in good people, poor people house, and I will not give in a politician house. Now the moon doesn't make any discrimination. When the moon doesn't make discrimination, sun doesn't make discrimination, who are creation of the universal creator's creator. Universal creator is Brahma, Brahma's creator is Narayana, Vishnu. The same Lord who is speaking in Bhagavad Gita as Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and He is supplying everybody everything. So why will He make any discrimination? But there is a natural inclination. Just like a rich man's son, he is having a natural tendency for his children, although he may do charity to so many people. So he has a kind of feeling. It's quite natural. So there are many stories. In one of the story, so once Akbar and Birbal were arguing because Birbal happened to be a Rama devotee, and they were arguing that the Lord will personally supply food to his devotees. So Akbar told Birbal, do you think that your Lord is supplying food? I am supplying you food. So he said, yes, my Lord, I understand. But finally the Lord is supplying through everybody. So he said, let us try, you 2 days, you fast, then you will come to know who is giving you food. So then he waited for 1 day, 2 days. Then later Akbar himself came and gave him food and offered him food, and Birbal with tears in his eyes was eating food. So then Akbar asked him, you see, now you came to know that who is supplying food, whether I am supplying or your God is supplying. So Birbal told him, sir, actually you see that for me every day I get food. I am an ordinary person. I get food from my family members. But today the Lord has sent food from the king himself, from his hand he is giving me. So if I put trust on the Lord, how the Lord is personally taking care of me. So this is a devotee's faith, devotee's trust. The devotee's faith is not only a sentimental faith. Suppose somebody feels that I will manufacture rice, wheat or any of these things without sunlight, without moonlight, without water, without earth, without anything which are created by the Lord or by the material nature. Now I have become so advanced that I can now create something by myself, and then I will create. Yeah, please do it. I think that is where you can challenge the creation. You can challenge the creator, because you are now becoming one more God. We are using the God ingredients, God particles. We are using the same chemicals which are there in this earth. Just like a carpenter can cut a tree, and he can cut and he can make it into furniture. So we give credit to the carpenter for making it so nice furniture, but that now belongs to the owner whom he is made for. The carpenter will not claim that is his. He gives the credit to the owner who has ordered him. So the real owner is the person who has supplied the ingredients. And the Lord says, Aham bija pratapita. I am the seed giving father of every living entities. And everything is coming out from him. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Every prakriti, by prakriti, this material nature is run by his control. So, by all this arrangement it is running. But if I think I am running it because I am very scientifically advanced, so we should please create it. Our Acharya Srila Prabhupada had a disciple, Swarup Damodar. He was studying in US, and in one university there was one Nobel Prize holder. So he had written a book, Life Comes from Chemicals. And our Vedic understanding is, Vedic scientific understanding is, life comes from life. But just like the citric acid is coming from lemon, human life is coming from one more human being. So we always have a connection to one more life. There is a child, father and mother is there. That father and mother had one more father and mother. Again one more had father and mother, one more father and mother. There is a connection up to God. Sarva Karana Karanam. There is a cause and there is an effect. There is a cause and there is an effect. The cause is children, effect is the other previous cause was father and mother. Then that actually becomes an effect, the previous cause was there. So for everything, ultimate cause, Sarva Karana Karanam, Ishvaraha, the Supreme Lord, Ishvaraha, Paramaha. The Lord is the Supreme Ishvaraha, Krishnaha, Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadiradir Govindaha, Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the cause of all causes. He is not an ordinary person, and without his will, nothing happens in this universe. So everything is happening. The destruction is happening. The creation is happening. And he has allowed the living entities who wanted to be in this world independently with all the resources. A lot of resources are there. We can enjoy it or we can suffer. So when God has created, then why does he give so much of misery? Why is he giving so much of problems? Why there are so many problems? See, we have selected a place to come and stay. So there is a law of karma which is governing it. The law of nature is governing it. Because everybody wants to be the master of this world. That's why there are conditional relationships. The condition is, you should glorify me, I will glorify you. Otherwise there will be no proper relationship. There are conditions. If you have to be a friend, today there is a conditional friendship is there. If you go to a person, you should talk to him in a certain condition. Otherwise he will not be your friend. So these conditions were more natural in the Vedic era. In the previous ages, they were very open-hearted. The conditions were to help the other person. If suppose somebody is simply glorifying you, in our ancestors were saying, please don't believe them. But now, suppose you are a good friend of somebody and you say, please don't go in that direction, then they will think, this person is interfering in my business. Is interfering in my business, you should stay far away. That is considered to be a social friendship. That is also accepted, not that we want cheap love, cheap friendship with everybody. Love is very valuable. It has to be taken from authorized, bona fide relationships. Not that we have like audience, cinema fans are there. 10 people will want to go and embrace the actor, and after that they may not give him water and food also. After he becomes infamous or he becomes old or the heroine becomes old, nobody will care for them. The condition was at that time they were famous, and when they are famous, we want to be, because anything success people want to associate. Nobody wants to associate with failure. Nobody will say, my neighbor is somebody has gone to jail from the neighborhood. Nobody will say that neighbor person was my friend. They will not say, I know he is always like that. Or there may be some revolutionary people, they want to do some revolution. If he is good or bad, they want to go and fight, want to become famous or to bring justice. That's a different, one more category of people. But in general, nobody wants to associate with something controversial. So real relationships, real feeling, these are all missing, which the Lord was personally taking care. In the Vedic system, in the Vedic parampara, there was guidance. There was guidance from renunciants. They were sadhus who were not attached. The Brahmanas means they were always attached to higher truth, higher knowledge. They were not attached to money, power, etc. So they were teachers and they were guiding the Kshatriyas who were holding the power. People holding power, they were not making their own philosophies. They were guiding by the guidance of people who are renunciants. And this and all was not based on some caste system like it is presented today. And that's how the communist philosophy has become famous, thinking that they have removed a so-called caste system which was harming the society. People who are harming the society were not really following the system which was prescribed according to the nature. Like a doctor's son does not mean that he is also a doctor's son. He is also a doctor. Or a judge's son will automatically become a magistrate without any qualification. There was qualification required. So that was, they were qualified people. So real relationship to happen, the Varnashrama Dharma was very important. It was all under proper order. People who could not follow according to that, even if he is taken birth in Brahmana family, if he is not having that standard, he was becoming a Kshatriya, or a person who is taken birth in a Kshatriya family, he could become a Brahmana if he was qualified. And if you are even taken birth in a high family, you are not of a proper class, then you are rejected from Varnashrama and you are called Panchama, Adama or Chandalas. So the Chandala class, untouchables, what they were saying is not because they were rich or they were educated or of higher class or lower class. It is because of civilization and uncivilization. The Chandalas means they are Swapachaha. Swapacha means they are dog eaters. Like in now some countries, they eat dogs. I think Korea or some certain countries, they eat dogs. So dog eaters, among all the meat eaters, dog eaters are considered to be the very low level of civilized people. And there is near Burma, there was a spiritual ashram earlier in 1918 or those days in early 1900th century, where our Acharya's Guru, they had sent their disciples to spread the Bhagavad Gita message, and in that ashram they are making ghee puris. They were cooking puris with ghee. And when this ghee puris they were making, that smell was moving everywhere, and they were saying, what is this ugly smell coming, very dirty smell. So what was their food? Why they were feeling this is so bad smell? So they had a dish which they liked. So they used to dig a hole and they used to keep a pot, and whatever animals are dead animals like rat and cat and lizards or whatever kind of animals which are dead, they used to put there, and that is decomposed for many months, and that after getting decomposed it converts to a liquid, and that starts smelling and rotting, and after few months they boil it, and that is their favorite drink, favorite food. So there are various species of people, and for everyone there is some food. That is understandable. But the civilized people should have civilized habits. So there are food like that, people may eat that. So now we have burgers, hot dogs, and what are they? Many of the burgers in the very high civilized societies also, there are pork burgers, beef burgers, and some burgers of pork burgers like hot dog, they have some intestine of hog or pig, and they decorate it very well, and they put the sauce on it, and that sauce also, they found out that the sauce is also not originally made from tomato sauce, it is some animal flesh, and after that if the animal is killed, they don't know what to do with that. There is air of it, so they remove that air and they use that air for making combs, brushes, toys. So we are very advanced, we are embracing the animals, we are making it convert to nice toys, we wear it as clothes. So where is the difference between our uncivilized life and civilized life? So the Varnashrama Dharma had made separations. You are uncivilized, you be uncivilized. If you are supposed to be civilized, you behave civilized way, otherwise you will be punished. So the Lord is a transcendental personality and does not involve into any kind of material life or material success and failure, especially when you are becoming a devotee. So when you become a devotee, what is that he will do for you? Every deity has some pastime. If you go to any temple in India, go to Vrindavan, Banke Bihari temple, they will say how the Lord protected them. If you come to Jagannath Puri, there are many pastimes, leelas of Lord Jagannath, Sakshi Gopal, how he walked and came. There are pastimes. If you go to the South India, there is Sri Ranganathji temple, there is Tirupati Balaji temple, there is Guruvayurappan temple, there are a lot of leelas. You go there, there are folk tales around the deity. One or two pastimes which are related, like one boy near Guruvayurappan is a Krishna temple. One story we had heard from a priest. So he said once a small boy, he wanted to eat some bananas. Generally bananas are plenty available in Kerala state of India, South India. So nobody will mind to give some elephant or any animal comes, they freely give flowers or fruits to deity or for some animal, for some poor people they will give. But this young boy was feeling very hungry, so he went near the shopkeeper nearby the temple and he picked a few bananas and he ran away. So next day or after some time, this shopkeeper identified this young boy again when he was moving around his shop, and he caught hold of him and he brought him nearby. And he said, "You are stealing and going my bananas? I will punish you." Actually, he never wanted to punish the child, because for them to give bananas for animals itself is alright. But he just wanted to chastise, to give alert advice to the boy. So he said, "I will give you punishment. The punishment is you have to go 7 times around this temple and come." So that boy told, "Okay, sir, and I am sorry." So he kept his hands and he ran around the temple. So when he was running around one round, so the shopkeeper was seeing this boy is running, and behind him one more small boy was also running. So he saw, who is this boy? Maybe that boy's younger brother or his friend, he thought. Then he went around 7 times. Then he caught of this boy and he asked, "I understand I told you to run. Why are you making your friend also or your younger brother to run? Who was he who was running behind you?" He said, "I don't know, sir." So he asked, "What did you do with the banana what I gave you?" He said, "Sir, I gave 50% banana to Lord Krishna, Guruvayurappan. Remaining I ate." So the Lord is so merciful on this boy. Not only he accepted the banana what he got from the boy, he accepted even the punishment. This boy is running for my sake, so I also should get that punishment. The Lord is so merciful. So like this, there are many leelas of the deities. How the Lord is so close to the devotees. He is ready to do anything for the devotees. There are certain leelas which are almost same, like Jayadeva Goswami, who has written the Gita Govinda and Dashavatara Stotra, Keshavadrita, Dashavida Rupa, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Keshavadrita, Narahari Rupa, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. All the 10 avatars he has described. Jayadeva Goswami, Jayadeva Kavi, very famous in his life. And the same kind of incidents in Yamunacharya, Sri Ramanujacharya's Guru's life. The same kind of incidents of how the Lord personally is protecting his devotees in the connection of this shloka. In Yamunacharya's case, also the same kind of leela was done. In Jayadeva Goswami's case, he actually was writing a verse and he could not complete it. And he went to take bath in the river. And at that time, Jagannath himself came in the form of Jayadeva Kavi, Jayadeva Goswami, and he wrote the verse, he completed that verse. And when he came back, and Jayadeva Goswami, when he came back from his taking bath, he saw somebody has already written that. He was very surprised. Similarly, in one case of Yamunacharya was writing a Bhagavad Gita shloka. See, in the Bhagavad Gita shloka, in the same shloka of what we are reciting in 9th chapter, which is also called as Rajavidya. This is a very close chapter, because the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita and the last 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, they are like sandwich kept. In the in-between 6 chapters are the main essence. Bhakti is there in that. So, the 6th chapter means 7th to 12, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. These middle chapters are very, very sacred. In that the Lord reveals a lot of secrets. In that He is saying that I carry what my devotees lack and I preserve what they have, and He supplies actually for everything. He supplies to His devotees each and everything. So when this Acharya was writing, then he thought, why the Supreme Lord has to personally come and supply to His devotees? There are so many agents of the Lord. He can give through Maya Devi, He can supply to so many devotees. Why He has to personally come? He is taking care of His devotees, that's all. So, he wrote that the Lord takes care of His devotees through His energies. Some interpretation here. Then he went to take bath. Here something additional also happened. When he went to take bath, there were 2 children who came to this Acharya's house, where his wife was still cooking some items, and they knocked the door, and when his wife opened the door, so they were carrying some loads of vegetables and fruits and so many items. So she felt, who are you? Why are you carrying so much of loads on your shoulders? So that, mother, please remove. So she helped to remove. There were 2 children. So she asked, why did you carry such big loads of goods and brought to her house? You look like coward children and you look very attractive. Why did you do this? Who told you to do this? So they told, Mother, your husband told us to go and supply this and came. So she thought that some king or some merchant would have given them. So she thought, but why he forced the small children to carry all this? So she should have told that you cannot carry your small children. So one boy told, no mother, I told I have to take care of my cows, I cannot go. So you know what your husband did? He bet me on the back, you see, and they showed him, there were whips, marks, and from her eye tears started coming. What is this? My husband has become like this? My husband will never do like this. He's such a nice man, he's a kind-hearted man, he will never do like this. No, you see how he has beaten. So she felt so compassionate. She told, today I should talk to my husband. Why is he doing like this? So, meanwhile she told, dear children, please wait. I will get you something. And she said, no, mother. Again your husband will come. And they ran away. So meanwhile, Acharya started taking bath and came out from his bath from the river and came to the house. And in the house, wife was very angry. So she told What is this you are doing, my husband? You are beating small children? He didn't understand actually what was happening. He said, you tell me what happened. He said, I never thought you are so cruel to children. You are beating them and you are sending all these items. So he saw all these items. I don't know how did this item comes. How it came, I don't know. So she told, you don't know, you have beaten them, and there were marks on his back which you have beaten with whip. So he said, he understood, told, okay, how were they looking? So then she explained, one was little dark and one was bright, and he was glowing. The more she was explaining, she could understand the Lord himself had come. Krishna and Balarama had come personally to show that I am personally taking care of you, and you telling me that I am not personally taking care of you, I am taking care of you. You devotees through somebody else has marked for him like a pain beaten on his back. So the devotee, as an acharya, he understood that the Lord personally takes care of these devotees, and he went and changed that purport, the explanation of it. The Lord personally takes care of the devotees. Yogakshemam vahamyaham. The Lord personally takes care of his devotees. This is one more incident like this is in the pastime of Narada Muni. He actually changed an hunter, and that hunter was told that if you chant the names of God, I will supply you food. And there are so many people who are coming and giving him food, and that was offered to the Lord, and he used to take it. How the Lord personally supplies the food for devotees. He personally takes care. Like how when Srila Prabhupada went to the West, there were within 10 years to 12 years span more than 100 temples which were made. And there were more than 10,000 initiated devotees. And everybody were supplied with food. Not only that, during this pandemic time, around 3 crore people were supplied food, but there is no regular income to the organization. The donation is coming. The devotees were working hard to cook food and go and give the food. And some people who are going and distributing food also got affected, and some people, they left their life, but still the work is continuing. The Lord is supplying, and who are the brave soldiers, they are awarded by God to get the best benefit in all circumstances. So the Lord supplies for everyone. We don't have to worry what will happen. We know Akbar and Birbal story in the same kind of incidents. Why the Lord has to personally come to protect his children? Like this, some debate they were having. So Birbal told, I will tell some other time. And one day, Akbar, Birbal and all their family members, they were going in a boat. And when they were going in a boat, their grandson was moving around, and he was sitting on the edge of the boat. Maybe it's a big boat. There were a lot of soldiers and many people were there. Big, it's like a ship, small steamer. So when they were traveling, so this grandson was running here and there, and the grandfather was getting admired by seeing his grandson and other children were playing around. So when he was sitting on the edge of the boat or steamer there, he somehow slipped, or Birbal made him slip, we don't know, and he fell into the water. So when he fell into the water, much before the soldiers or anybody jumped, the king himself jumped inside the water and saved his grandson. So the minister asked, "Sir, why you have to jump? When you have your ministers and your servants and so many people are there, why you have to jump?" He said, "It is my grandson." So this is so much natural for the Lord to feel he is my devotee. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, he asked Arjuna to declare, "My devotee never perishes." Arjuna pratijanehi name bhakta pranashyati. My devotee can never be perished. That is a confidence the Lord is giving for his devotees. A devotee may fall down, because we are all fallen down right now. Just like rain drops, when they are falling from the sky, they are like filtered distilled water. But the moment they fall on the earth, they become contaminated. So we are all children of the Lord, and we have all good qualities. The moment we come in contact with material nature, then we become contaminated. It is said, a devotee, he never desires bhoga. He never desires sense gratification. But any jiva, bhogavancha kare. Krishna bahirmukha jiva. It's a Bengali saying that when we become bahirmukha jiva, when we keep away from Lord, from the transcendental plane, then we japate maya. Immediately the maya covers the living entity and we fall into this material world. So immediately the maya can cover when we are away from Krishna. So Krishna bahirmukha. From bahirmukha, we have to again come to close to Krishna. But Krishna will personally want to take care of us. He is ready to take care of us. That's how Gajendra Moksha, where the elephant, when it prays, that generally a devotee doesn't cry for even in suffering to help. He doesn't ask for God. But Gajendra said, "I am helpless. Please help me." The Lord personally came. Prahlada, when he was in suffering, the Lord personally came. So will the Lord personally come? The Lord doesn't have to come anywhere. He is there in our heart. You can personally feel Him. He will give us guidance in all circumstances. When in our fallen condition, we may do some mistakes, we may fall down from our spiritual condition, but the Lord will never give up. He sends His devotees, pure devotees. He gives instructions through His disciples. The work will continue and they will never perish. And He has given a very simple formula how the Lord will be present for us now. Krishna Nama Rupa Avatara. And when you chant, just like Gajendra recited the names of the Lord, he just glorified the Lord. Prahlada glorified the Lord. Similarly, like Ajamila chanted Narayana, when we are also able to chant the name Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In any circumstances, the Lord will personally protect us. Lord Jagannath will protect us. Lord Ranganath will protect us. Lord Dwarkadisha will protect us. He is the same Lord in any deity form, He is the same Lord, and He is protecting us and will continue to protect us. These are secrets of success of spirituality, and in this verse we have to always remember how the Lord is Yogakshemam Bahamyaham. He actually carries the devotees, and He gives what we don't have, and whatever we have, He preserves them. Thank you. Jai Jagannath. Hare Krishna.